Alrighty, we are back with another YouTube technique tutorial. I got a question in our Drum Technique Academy closed Facebook group by Jesse, and the question is, I was actually going to ask you to make a video about seat height, but it looks like that's already in progress. Yes, that's the video I released last week. Second part of the question, could you be sure to touch on balance as well in that video? And I didn't cover that topic in the last video, so that's the topic for today's video. Balance and balance exercises. So my plan for today is that I show you 3 different balance exercises. So exercises and workouts to improve your balance on the drum kit while playing double bass. 2 of those exercises can be performed without a double pedal and 1 of them can be done with a double pedal. So let's start right away with the first exercise. So I got this first exercise actually from Derek Roddy. This one is mentioned in his book, The Evolution of Blast Beats, so make sure to check out that book if you haven't already. And this exercise is the following. You just place your feet on the floor, you're sitting on the drum stool, you don't need bass drum pedals, and all you do is lift the weight of your leg by contraction, static contraction of your hip flexor. This way you lift the weight of your full leg. This exercise, number 1, trains your hip flexor to lift the weight of your leg, and you're also going to need your core and lower back to stabilize and be centered on the drum stool. One thing that I have to mention that is really important when you do this exercise is that as soon as you start to lift the weight of your legs off the floor, you don't want to lean forward or back to compensate for this kind of motion. So you want your upper body to be perfectly straight and just lift the weight of your leg by a quick static contraction of your hip flexor. You don't want to lean forward, you don't want to lean back. Derek's suggestion for this exercise is to lift your legs for as long as you can. Works perfectly fine. Try this, it's gonna help you out big time. So I think till this day I'm Derek's biggest fan out there. It was amazing to have him teach at the Academy a couple of weeks ago, and I want to share a short clip of his last Facebook Live lesson at the Academy. This short clip doesn't deal with the topic of balance, but it's just an awesome clip, so I want to share this one with you as well.
If you're playing a 17th note blast beat, you're really only left with 16th notes, because if you play 8th notes or if you try to play some cool, tasty figure, it takes away from the energy that you're trying to create with the blast, right? So to me, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? Like you wouldn't be, right? I mean, maybe if the guitar part did that with you, but just as a general thing, if the rest of the band was still grinding it out, like, what are you doing? Or if you're at a wedding gig, and you're the bride and groom's dancing, and they're, what's that song? So close, it's not musically appropriate, right? So, knowing.
All right, Derek is the man. So he's gonna be teaching at the Academy in a couple of weeks again as well. So make sure to check out that session as well. So now let's continue with a short variation of Derek's exercise, one that I use. So this short variation goes like this. You're still sitting on the drum stool. You still want to lift the weight of your leg by a static contraction of your hip flexor. So you're lifting that weight, but at the same time you also relax your shin muscle, your tibialis anterior. This way the ball of your foot and your toes are always going to be in touch with the floor. So those are like those extra balance points, and you're lifting the weight of your leg by static contraction with your hip flexor as well, just like the other exercise. But this way you also train how to relax certain muscle groups, in this case the tibialis anterior, the shin muscle, while activating other muscle groups, like in this example, the hip flexor. Those of you who know me and those of you who know the anchor technique know that I always want my feet to be in touch with the footboard at all times. And this kind of exercise trains that you're always in touch with the floor with this kind of exercise, and with the ankle technique you're always in touch with the pedals when playing double bass. One other thing for this exercise that I kind of like to do and recommend is don't just lift the weight of your leg with a steady contraction of your hip flexor and keep it that way for a couple of minutes. Just lift the weight of your leg for a couple of seconds, so 4 or 5 seconds are enough. Then relax your hip flexor again. Your heel is gonna drop back down to the floor again, and then contract your hip flexor again for another 5 seconds, and repeat this cycle over and over again. And what this does is, since we always want to focus on not leaning forward or back with this exercise, what this little exercise does is that you get used to lifting your leg without leaning forward or back. So now let's talk about the third exercise, the third balance exercise for today. For this one, you're gonna need a double bass pedal. So what I want you to do is place your feet on your pedals and just start to play with one foot at a time. One thing that happens to all of us if we are playing with just one foot is that the other foot kind of works as a human kickstand, so this helps you stay balanced. And what we want to do with this exercise is we want to take away this human kickstand, and we want to work on our balance when just playing with one foot at a time. So just start playing with your right foot, and while you play just with your right foot, lift the weight of your left foot with a static contraction of your hip flexor. Do this for a couple of bars, and after that relax your right foot, stop playing, and then start playing with your left foot. Do the same thing again with the right foot. So starting to play with the left foot, and you're lifting the weight of your right leg with a static contraction of your hip flexor, and this way you take away this human kickstand and have to work on your balance at the same time. Again, what I have to mention that's really important, if you work on that kind of stuff, make sure that when you kind of take away that human kickstand, make sure that you're not leaning forward or back. You don't want your lower body to influence the balance of your upper body. This third balance exercise is a big part of bass drum mastery, so if you want to learn more about that, just check out Bass Drum Mastery for all the information about this third balance exercise. Alright, and that's it for today's YouTube tutorial on the topic of balance. If you're stuck at a certain point, if you want my personal feedback, or if you want me to answer one of your questions in such a YouTube video, then just join the Drum Technique Academy and post your questions in our closed Facebook group. I'm either gonna answer you directly in our closed Facebook group, or if the question is a bit longer, takes a full video to respond to that one, I'm gonna record a YouTube video for you. And that's pretty much it for today. Guys and girls, have a great day. Cheers from Vienna. Bye bye.